In my coaching practice, so many people have shared with me that even when they're prepared, even when they know their material very well, as soon as they get up in front of an audience, they're afraid they're going to go blank. They're afraid they're going to forget their words. And that's even happened to a lot of my clients, including one who completely blacked out during a presentation. She has zero memories of what happened. And that fear is enough to make them think, I guess this isn't for me. I guess I shouldn't be doing public speaking. I'm a bad public speaker. And most advice would say, hey, well, you know what? Just keep showing up. It'll get better. But I have found that that is not the case for most people. Bad experiences often lead to other bad experiences unless you get to the root of the issue. My approach that I have created over years of working with public speakers is completely different. It has helped hundreds of people overcome their fear of public speaking, including my client who used to black out and now she does presentations all the time. In this video, I'm going to help you understand why you're blanking out when you're public speaking, what the working memory is, the role it plays in that blanking, and how we can fix it. Then I'm going to share with you a 3-step process so you can get started on this right away and start seeing results. I'm Heather. I'm a public speaking coach. I'm an MC. I'm a broadcaster. And I have helped hundreds of people overcome their fear of public speaking using the same process that helped me go from being incredibly nervous, anxious as a public speaker to speaking in front of thousands of people and even being on national television. Public speaking is a skill. Anybody can learn it. And if you'd like to start your own public speaking journey and improving this skill, hit subscribe and I'll help you get there. Before I give you this 3-step process, let me help you understand what's going on with your mind while you're up in front of a crowd. So we have something called the working memory, and it's essentially our focus. What we're thinking about in any given moment, that's what's in our working memory. And our working memory can only hold a very small amount of information at one time. If something new comes in, if a new thought comes in, it has to push the current thought that's in there out. I'll use these Post-its to help me demonstrate. So let's say I'm up and I'm public speaking and I'm thinking about what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the working memory. And then I think something like, can these people notice that I'm nervous? And because this thought came in, the one about what I'm talking about has to leave. This is where we start experiencing that sensation of, I can't remember what I was going to say. So then maybe I'll get my thought of what I'm talking about back into my mind. And then I'll have another thought like, why is Jeff looking at me like that? Whatever it is. And for a lot of people, they'll go back and forth like this during the whole presentation. But for some people, it gets so bad, they start thinking about how they're coming across, how people can see that they're nervous, people's judgmental thoughts about them, their concerns about their job. And it's just this for their whole presentation. No wonder they can't think of what to say. No wonder they black out. So, if we want to improve our ability to have access to our own memory, including our long-term memory while we're speaking, we have to work with the working memory. Here's your 3-part process that's going to help you do that. We're going to break it up to before you speak, while you're speaking, and then after you speak. The first part happens before you ever get on stage, and that is working with your belief system about what you think about public speaking. Because if you can get your thoughts to work for you, you're going to prevent a lot of those intrusive thoughts from popping up on stage. So one of the biggest interfering beliefs that people have is, if people see I'm nervous, they'll think I'm not credible. I think that that is maybe a truth that exists somewhere, but it's not a truth that's going to serve you and help you public speak. So let's switch it out for a new one. So you could think something like, people know public speaking is a challenge and they're willing to look past my nervousness to my content. It might even help to reflect on any time that you saw somebody on stage that was nervous. Did you get really over-focused on them, or did you just let it go at some point and start focusing on what they were saying? Another major interfering belief that I see is this desire to be perfect, that people will like you or you've done a good job when you're public speaking if you've been perfect and you've made no mistakes. That's absolutely not the case. People don't care about perfection. What they care about is that you demonstrate that you're interested in their experience of listening to you. When you're warm, when you smile, when you even just change your content to say, hey, this is for you and you're going to benefit from listening, you are going to be more well rated as a speaker than if you make no mistakes. Mistakes happen with public speaking, and that is one of the beliefs that you can shift. So going through all your beliefs about public speaking and finding the ones that are tripping you up and changing them, that's going to be your first step to clearing that working memory. Your second step is going to be when you're in the moment of public speaking and those intrusive thoughts, let me get my post-it, those intrusive thoughts start to come in. What we want to do is build our ability to recognize when we're having a thought that isn't supportive or helpful when we're public speaking and dismiss it. I find the best way to do this is not to argue with the thought, but rather leave it at a place of curiosity. And sometimes I'll even tell myself I'll discuss it later. So if I have a thought that comes in, say, that says, oh, you would have done a better job of that if you were more professional. And I will tell myself, whether I'm a professional or not, now's not the time to decide. My job is to tell people about this. Same thing with a thought comes in about the audience. Oh, so-and-so's looking at me weird. It's not my business what Jeff thinks of me. I can worry about that later. Right now, my job is to communicate these numbers. And every time you can refocus that mind, every time you can recognize a thought that isn't helpful and dismiss it and refocus, you're building your strength of staying focused on what you're saying in the moment while you're speaking, which is going to make you a better speaker. Your final step for this process is cultivating warm and supportive self-talk, because I often find that the rejection that people fear over public speaking doesn't actually come from other people. It comes from themselves. They get off stage and they beat themselves up about every little mistake they made, every little problem they had. And that creates a tightness around public speaking, a need to be perfect to protect them from themselves. So if we can learn to go, that wasn't ideal, or that wasn't my favorite thing that happened, but that's fine. I'm working on this skill. I'm building this skill. I'm proud of you for trying. The more we can cultivate that really great self-talk, the better that you are going to feel when you step on stage, and the fewer intrusive thoughts you're going to have when you're on there. In this video, we learned about the working memory and about how critical or intrusive thoughts that are negative and that come in while we're speaking interfere with our ability. That's what's causing our minds to go blank. Then we learned a 3-part process in order to resolve this. We learned to shift our beliefs so that they serve us with public speaking. We learned to moderate what thoughts are coming into our mind while we're speaking. And then we learned to be kind to ourselves afterwards. The more you're able to repeat the 3-step process, the easier it's going to be to step up in front of a crowd and stay focused on what you're saying. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you. If it was, please hit subscribe, and I'd love to hear what resonated the most in the comments.